talk about alternative reality or alternate facts or what have you. Well, why do they do that? Because the truth of the matter is there's one reality. People who refuse to exist within that reality are delusional or worse. Same thing with facts. Facts are facts. There's no such thing as an alternative fact. An alternative fact is known as a non-fact, a lie, false information. So again, why? Why do they insist upon an alternate reality that somehow is just as legitimate as ours, is just as viable and true and real? Well, because they don't like reality. In reality, Republicans and the fascists among us know that they're wrong, know that facts are on their sides, know, to use an old phrase, facts have a liberal bias. And then, of course, there's the leader of that fascist Republican Party. Why is he so hell-bent on waging an all-out war on truth, on facts, on reality? Well, kind of for a similar reason, but also he has a separate agenda. According to Donald and his version of reality, and again, there's really no such thing as a version of reality, but let's just for the sake of argument, pretend for a second there is. He is a winner. He's a tough guy. He's right about everything. He knows more than everybody else. He's a strong, virile leader. I know, sorry, I don't mean to make you choke. But that is the version of himself he wants people to believe. And there are some people, there are many people who actually do believe it. And he needs to press that point. Why? Because according to the only reality that actually exists, Donald is a pathetic, failed loser who can only get people who are more pathetic, failed, and bigger losers than he is to believe he's anything he's not, right? Which is why the assaults are getting so much more open and broad. The assaults on facts, the assaults on history, the assaults on the ways in which things are represented. I just heard that the exhibits in the Smithsonian museums, because remember, the Smithsonian is a vast organizations of different museums, not just one museum. From now on, the White House will decide which of those exhibits is part of the reality Donald would have you believe is the actual reality. We, of course, know that that is complete bullshit. So, all the more reason for us to call it out every single day and remind people that in reality, we are now and will continue to be on the right side of history and everything else. Let's dive in. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to tonight's episode of Mary Trump Live. It is lovely to be with you. As you can probably tell, I am not at Mary Trump Media Studios, also known as my other room. Nope. Hey, some of you might be familiar with this background, so I'm very happy to be back here, even though briefly. Yes, I've been traveling a bit, and this will shock you. There's a lot going on in the world, and things are getting pretty dicey out there. So I want to jump right in to a press conference that was held by White House Press Secretary, the execrable Caroline Leavitt. She essentially did what she always does, but in the context of what's going on, so many of her ridiculous, alarming, and mendacious statements are becoming more and more terrifying by the day. When asked about how Donald planned to handle homeless in D.C., amidst the hostile takeover that he is currently engaged in which he suddenly has decided that he is both the mayor and the sheriff of D.C., Leavitt made the plan of the executive branch abundantly clear. if homeless people don't go to shelters, they'll be arrested. Take a look.
Regarding the president's efforts in Washington, D.C., do you have any specifics about how homeless people will be dealt with, where they would be moved to? What does this look like?
I do, yes, and it's an important question, so thank you for raising it. The Metropolitan Police Department, with the support of the new federal agencies who have been surging on the streets of the District of Columbia, are going to enforce the laws that are already on the books here in Washington, D.C. For far too long, these laws have been completely ignored, and the homelessness problem has ravaged the city. So D.C. Code 22-1307 and D.C. Municipal Regulation 24-100 give the Metropolitan Police Department the authority to take action when it comes to homeless encampments. So homeless individuals will be given the option to leave their encampment, to be taken to a homeless shelter, to be offered addiction or mental health services, and if they refuse, they will be susceptible to fines or to jail time. Again, these are pre-existing laws that are already on the books. They have not been enforced, which is part of the reason for this federalizing of the National Guard to bring in this assistance for law enforcement. While we are targeting criminals and trying to remove criminals off of the streets, we also want to make DC safe and beautiful, and that involves removing mentally disturbed individuals and homeless encampments as well.
I noticed this last night when Donald was making his big announcement that he is basically taking over the government of an independent American city, which last I checked is kind of a way to overturn the results of a free and fair election. But what do I know? He started quoting statutes. He was giving us statute numbers, which is what Levitt did just there. That is what they call a tell. They want everything to sound official so they can get away with their hideous lawlessness. Also, she described homelessness as being a horrible problem being inflicted upon the city of DC. First of all, it is not illegal yet to be homeless. And I'm pretty sure the problem of homeless people is being inflicted upon the homeless people by a government that has never figured out how to care for them properly. So this is just another slippery slope we seem to be going down. So pay close attention to how the Trump administration, regime in DC handles the problem of homelessness, because it will be an indicator of how what kinds of license they are going to give to their newly empowered thugs who are policing the streets of what used to be a city that had its own governance in place. So basically, if you're homeless, you get sent to a shelter. But if the shelters are full, because there aren't enough of them, and many of them aren't prepared to care for people properly, you're going to go to jail. Why? Because you're homeless. I personally think that that is enough of a deficit. And at that point, at which a human being in the United States of America finds themselves homeless, we should try to help them, not punish them further. But this is the Trump regime, so basically expect more punishment to come. Levitt also was asked about Donald's upcoming meeting with Vladimir Putin, and the meeting is going to be taking place in Alaska, as well as Donald's plans to visit Russia, which is a claim he's made. So take a look at this.
The president said at the podium yesterday twice that he was planning to go to Russia. Was that a verbal slip-up, or does he actually plan to go to Russia?
Perhaps there are plans in the future to travel to Russia. And on Friday, the president will be meeting with the Russian President Vladimir Putin in Alaska, as you know. There were many sites discussed, but of course Alaska is a state within the United States of America, so the president is very honored and looks forward to hosting President Putin on American soil.
Yes, Alaska is an American state, but Sarah Palin can see Russia from her living room window, so I mean, don't be surprised if Donald ends up giving Alaska back to Vladimir Putin. It is grotesque and despicable that Donald is meeting with this dictator, this mass murderer, Vladimir Putin, on American soil. But Once again, Donald got played by Putin. There are no plans, apparently, to visit Russia. Donald just made a mistake. He meant to say Alaska, but he can't keep it straight because he continues not to be oriented to time and place, and he probably doesn't remember half the time what he's supposed to be doing in that particular moment. Levitt and Donald are doing what would have been and should have been unthinkable just a couple of years ago, kissing Putin's ass. I just get my authoritarian dictators mixed up sometimes. My apologies. Now, why is this problematic? Well, for many, many, many reasons. First of all, it's just another indicator of how beholden Donald is to Vladimir Putin and how easily Putin manipulates Donald Trump, who is the president of the United States and, quite frankly, should not be meeting with Putin on American soil. The other problem is this. Donald, because he's desperate, because he's flailing, because he's stupid, wants to enter the war in Ukraine, not because it's the right thing to do, not because he cares about Ukraine, but because he needs a win. He actually doesn't care how the war ends. He just wants it to end. Putin knows this, so while Putin continues to bomb Ukraine mercilessly, he's making it clear that Donald has to suck up to him in order to get back into his good graces. Those two, I fear, are going to come up with a horrific plan for peace that will put Ukraine at a massive disadvantage. It's important to remember because people continue to forget, and Donald continues to lie about this. Ukraine is the injured party here. Russia committed an illegal invasion of a sovereign nation, our ally, a democracy known as Ukraine. Donald seems to think somehow that was Ukraine's fault. So if he and Putin come up with a peace plan that totally advantages Russia and President Volodymyr Zelensky of Ukraine refuses to go along with it, what do you think is going to happen? Donald is going to be mad at Zelensky again and side with Putin. Why? Because he doesn't care about the Ukrainian people. He doesn't care about the future of Western democracy. He just wants his win, even if it's at the expense of everybody else, except, of course, Vladimir Putin. In another announcement from Levitt, federal agents have officially begun patrolling Washington, D.C. Today, she announced that there are 850 officers and agents who had arrived overnight and have already made 23 arrests. I'm sure that has nothing to do with the fact that they were ordered to make such things happen. Check this out.
Last night, these arrests consisted of homicide, firearms offenses, possession with intent to distribute narcotics, fare evasion, lewd acts, stalking, possession of a high-capacity magazine, fleeing to elude in a vehicle, no permits, driving under the influence, reckless driving, and a bench warrant. A total of 6 illegal handguns were seized off of District of Columbia streets as part of last night's effort.
Wait, so is the White House press conference just going to be like crime report? We're just going to be told about every single arrest made in D.C. And since when do Republicans think that it's a bad thing to have guns? The other thing that I find quite stunning, and we must continue to hammer on, is that everything these people say about crime in D.C. is a lie. Crime in D.C., violent crime in D.C., the murder rate in D.C. at their lowest rates, I think in ever, if not in decades. So D.C. is not an out-of-control hellscape. The only reason D.C. is a horrible place to be is because Donald Trump lives there. While Donald attempts to take that city over, some of our allies aren't happy with the comparison he made during his announcement. He made derogatory comments about a range of crime rate, a range of other cities' crime rates in other countries. He insulted countries like Mexico and Bogota and Brazil, and people in those countries are speaking out. The mayor of Mexico City Clara Brugada refuted Donald's comparison of Washington, D.C. to Mexico, saying, quote, Mexico City has a third of the murder rate that Washington has. We fortunately have a situation that many parts of the world would like to have, unquote. Brazilians had a similar sentiment. Governor Ibanez Rocha, the head of the federal district encompassing the capital, known as Brasilia, sent a letter to the U.S. Embassy on Tuesday that disputed Donald's claims that the Brazilian capital was overrun by violent criminals. Rocha said, quote, it is necessary to clarify based on official data that this perception does not reflect the reality of the Brazilian capital. This information is misleading, possibly resulting from the current lack of more consistent dialogue between Brazil and the United States of America, unquote. That's probably an understatement. The so-called data that Donald presented relating to crime rates, well, they're being refuted basically by everybody because we know that the data he used were manipulated or misused or false. He has no interest in fixing a problem. In fact, he's creating a problem so that he can pretend he's the solution. And of course, the solution for Donald is always going to be more and more power accruing to him. And also, by the way, you can always find the most violent cities, unless it's the most violent place on the planet, can always find a city that has a higher murder rate, a higher violent crime rate, et cetera, et cetera. Just as you can probably most likely always find a city that will make you look worse than you do. So this is just data manipulation. And hopefully, people are paying enough attention to recognize this. Because, people live in Washington, D.C. They understand that all of this is just myth-making for the sake of the power grab. Also, quick aside, I live in New York City. This drives me crazy. Why is bear jumping an arrestable crime? It is just absurd. Stop it. It's a waste of resources, and it just doesn't end well for anybody. So while Donald is continuing to make the worst kinds of history by taking over DC, he's also trying to erase history completely, and this is something I alluded to at the beginning of the show. So this is the breaking news that I touched upon, and it's among the most important things going on today, and I fear that it is going to get lost in equally important, but perhaps more dramatic news, like ICE raids and the hostile takeover of American City and the threats to other American cities. Donald and the Trump regime plan to take control of the Smithsonian's exhibitions, tailoring them to Donald's vision of America, which is enough to make anybody's skin crawl. Because Donald's vision of America, and indeed the world, is as dystopian, dark, and terrifying as you could possibly imagine. In fact, it is more terrifying, dark, and dystopian than you can imagine. In a letter obtained by the Wall Street Journal, the White House has warned the Smithsonian that it plans a wide review of exhibitions, materials, and operations ahead of the United States 250th anniversary celebration in 2026. Oh, that's going to be fun. The letter was sent by Lindsay Halligan, White House senior associate, Vince Haley, the director of the Domestic Policy Council, and Russ Vought. You know who he is. Well, currently he's the director of the Office of Management and Budget, but he is one of the masterminds, using the word incorrectly and loosely, behind Project 2025, which many of us had been warning since before the 2024 election was the fascist manifesto, the fascist blueprint that Donald's campaign was following and would implement to the letter if we were stupid enough to put Donald back in power. Here we are. The letter to Lonnie Bunch, the secretary of the Smithsonian Institution, said the museum should reflect, quote, unity, progress, and enduring values that define the American story, unquote. Additionally, the letter is reported to say, quote, this initiative aims to ensure alignment with Donald's directive to celebrate American exceptionalism, remove divisive or partisan narratives, and restore confidence in our shared cultural institutions, unquote. What do they really mean here? Well, dear leader must be honored at every turn. American history, from henceforward, is white history and nothing else. Partisanship means not supporting Donald Trump, and American exceptionalism means creating a new fascist authoritarian dictatorship for us so that we don't have to be bothered with what had been a fairly exceptional democracy up until now. This is literally the erasure of history. This is censorship. It's despicable. And more than anything, it is deeply, deeply un-American. You know, for a second, I thought that it was Monday. Why, you might ask? Well, because sometimes I think Mondays are Fridays because so much goes on in one day. Also, I've been traveling a lot. So it's like, this is a lot of very, very heavy stuff. It must be Monday because it feels like Friday. But no, it's Tuesday. And it is time, my friends, for our emotional support moment, which means first we reset by breathing in whatever way you want to breathe. Deeply. Well, deeply is better than shallowly, but like box breathing, ocean breathing, yoga breathing, whatever works for you. But we all have to do it the same way. Inhale and exhale. And let's move to what is an increasingly important segment in these shows, the emotional support moment. Okay. Today, and this actually is something that I'm very excited about because, as you may know, elephants are among my favorite, most loved creatures on the planet. I find them extraordinary, and yeah, I could actually. It's like some point in my life, I could actually see taking a few months off and going to an elephant sanctuary and just volunteering because that would just be incredible. Today is World Elephant Day. What say you? A day, one day. Elephants should have more than one day, but here we are. So this is an international awareness campaign launched in 2012 by Canadian filmmaker Patricia Sims and the Elephant Reintroduction Foundation of Thailand. The goal of the organization is to spotlight the threats elephants face, which quite frankly are all because of humankind: poaching, the illegal ivory trade, habitat loss, and mistreatment in captivity. Elephants should not be in captivity at all. While encouraging conservation and ethical treatment. It's observed every August 12th by wildlife groups, zoos, and nature lovers around the world, including us. So here's your reminder that there is still joy in the world, that there are still creatures like the elephant that exist, not to bring us joy because they have more important things to do, but for us to take joy in. This is elephants living their best lives. And I want to thank Roxana H. for this ESM idea. Here we go. I don't know what it is about baby elephants, but they're just like the most incredible little guys ever. Okay, so I have a heart out. I have an obligation tonight, but I do want to thank some people. So I want to take a couple minutes to do that, starting with Cindy, one of our super stickers. Cindy, thank you as always. That's awesome. I want to welcome Catherine, who's a new member. Thank you so much, Catherine, Greg, thank you as always. That's fantastic. Ask me the question next time. I will answer it. I promise. Well, assuming I will answer it if you ask it. How's that? Maida, Cheryl, as always, thank you so very much. I hope you had a great weekend donation. I did. I will be telling you guys all about it. Quick hint, I was at Star Trek Las Vegas on a panel. It was awesome. Simulation, that's cool. Thank you very, very much. Yes, Donald is a failure as a human. Understatement, but I concur. Lizzie Beth, thank you so very much, as always, to you as well. Ask that question next time I'm here, and I will answer it. Ghostly Air 59, thank you as always. That's fantastic. Mr. Mary, almost asked questions to bring you back, Faye. Well, thank you. And again, if you have a question, ask it next time. Gordian Knott, thank you so much as a new member. Welcome. It is wonderful to have you here. Kathleen, thank you so very, very much. This is a fee for absolutely despising Felon 47. Yeah, it's exhausting, isn't it? And thank you very, very much. Zella, thank you so much for that. That's incredibly generous of you. I promise I'll get your comment next time. Susan, fabulous, gifted 5 Mary Trump Media memberships, as she often does. That's so excellent of you. Thank you, Susan. Donna, and thank you, Donna. As always, this is fantastic. Again, I apologize for not getting to your comments tonight, but it's been a week. But we have lots going on here, but it's all good. And I know you guys are going to be happy with it. Right, Spencer, thank you so very much. And again, please re-ask that question. Susan, again, thank you so much. This is a fee for at Jean Hansen smashing the like button so hard she broke it. Well, that is absolutely worth a shout out. Thank you, Jean. And Lizzie Beth, again, thank you. That's great. Raining in Desert Fee. Yes, rain is desperately needed out here. That's for sure. It's been months, I hear. Wanda, thank you so very much. Mary, thank you for the babies. Yes, the baby elephants. Thank you. That's great. Robin, Canadian in the house. Thank you very, very much. Super sticker. Elbows up, guys. In the middle of nowhere. Thank you, as always. That is just wonderful and very generous of you. Baby elephants are adorable, Fee. Yes. Oh, to be so oblivious. Yeah. Wouldn't that be nice? Wanda, thank you so very much for that. We really appreciate it. We appreciate all of you. I apologize for the abbreviated shows, for not being around. Again, lots of traveling going on. I'll catch you up on all of it. It's all good things, I promise. We have lots of exciting things to share with you. So hang tight. I will be traveling tomorrow, but be back in New York on, I think, Thursday. To everybody watching on YouTube, streaming on Twitter, and my Substack, The Good in Us, everybody listening to the podcast, thank you so very much. To our amazing super stickers, our new members, people gifting memberships, people just giving us gifts, donations, our super stickers. You guys rock. We wouldn't be doing this without you. We couldn't be doing this without you. So thank you as always. To all of the great comments and questions we get, to our amazing moderators, and of course, to my exceptional team. I know you guys appreciate them, but show them more love. They have just been doing the most exemplary work in very, very difficult times. So thanks, guys. I appreciate it as always. Remember Mary Trump Live on Mary Trump Media YouTube channel, Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern. Got lots of recorded videos dropping every day. Please like them, share them, comment on them, subscribe to the channel. It's free. We're getting close to our 500,000 subscriber goal. We're almost there. So that does it for me. I will see you all soon. In the meantime, everybody, please stay safe and be kind.